Picture this: a night when the veil between the living and the dead thins until even your breath feels borrowed. A night of bonfires, masks and whispers, where neighbors pretend to smile at each other but check the shadows twice before walking home. You think you know it: pumpkins, candy, costumes. But underneath the sugar and plastic is a story written in firelight and fear. Tonight we're stepping into it together. The first scene isn't America at all. It's a windswept hillside in Ireland 2,000 years ago. The air is damp and sharp, tasting of peat smoke and harvest dust. Villagers have brought in their cattle, sealed their grain, and now they wait for winter to test their stores. The Celts call this night Samhain, and it is not a party, it is a reckoning. They believe that when the year dies, so does the boundary between this world and the next. The dead can walk, ancestors can visit, but so can enemies, demons, spirits that hunger for what the living still hold. Great fires roar into the night, sparks chasing the stars like messengers. Around them, cloaked figures circle, some in rough animal skins, others with faces painted in ash. Cattle bones are cast into the flames, their crackling considered both offering and omen. You'd feel it if you were there, the shiver at the back of your neck, the sense that the fire isn't just light against the dark, but a shield against something pressing in from beyond. Tonight, every hearth in every home goes cold, only to be relit tomorrow from the sacred blaze. To carry that flame back is to carry blessing, protection, survival. But the deeper truth is this: Samhain is not just about the dead, it is about control. You cover your face so the spirits won't recognize you. You leave food outside so they won't enter. You do these things not because you are brave, but because you are terrified of what might happen if you don't. Fear isn't chaos, it's choreography, and Samhain teaches the steps. Rome comes, not only with swords, but with calendars. They graft their festivals onto the bones of Celtic ritual. Samhain collides with Feralia, a Roman day for the dead, and with Pomona, a feast for the goddess of fruit. Apples become part of the ritual, bobbing, dunking, divining love from water. Imagine a girl biting into an apple in the dark, believing that if she peels it in one strip, tosses it over her shoulder, it will fall in the shape of her future husband's initials. You call it superstition, they called it insurance against loneliness. Masks remain, they always remain. People disguise themselves not to entertain but to confuse, to slip through the night unnoticed by the very forces they fear. What you see now as a party costume was once a survival tactic, a way of telling death itself, not me. Move along, and knocking on doors, what you know as trick or treat, began as something heavier. Poor travelers went door to door begging for food in exchange for prayers for the dead. Soul cakes, bread, nuts. If you opened your door, you participated in the cycle of mercy. If you didn't, you risked the judgment of heaven or of the neighbors. The knock at the door was not innocent. It was obligation dressed in ritual. The medieval church sees these bonfires, these masks, this bargaining with shadows, and makes a decision: baptize it. November 1st becomes All Saints' Day, All Hallows. The night before becomes All Hallows' Eve, Halloween. A neat trick, at least on paper. The priests thunder from pulpits that the dead are resting, except maybe the wicked. But outside the churches, villagers still light their fires, still wear their masks, still whisper to their ancestors. Christianity may rename the night, but it doesn't erase it. The rituals bend but never break. Rosaries in daylight, charms and disguises by nightfall. But there are other layers, stories too sharp to die. Folklore grows around the edges of Halloween like weeds that refuse to be pulled. The most famous, Jack of the Lantern. The tale begins in Ireland with a man called Stingy Jack, a drunkard who tricks the devil himself. Jack convinces Satan to climb a tree, then carves a cross into the bark to trap him there. He bargains, "Never take my soul." The devil agrees. When Jack dies, heaven bars him for his sins and hell bars him for his trick. Condemned to wander, Jack is given only a burning coal to light his way, which he carries in a hollowed turnip. A wandering spirit with a cursed lantern. That's your jack-o'-lantern. And when Irish immigrants landed in America, they found pumpkins, bigger, brighter, perfect for carving, and the symbol transformed forever. Halloween keeps mutating. In Britain, it blends with Guy Fawkes' Night, bonfires, masks, effigies burned. In Mexico, it brushes against Dia de los Muertos, 2 nights of marigolds and altars where the dead are invited home. In America, it grows in the shadows of cities, fueled by immigration and urban fear. In small towns, it explodes in mischief. By the early 20th century, Halloween night is one of chaos. Fences cut, shops vandalized, wagons moved onto rooftops. Fire chiefs call it Hell Night. Parents dread it. The solution? A deal. Trick or treat. Give the children sweets and they won't wreck your world. It begins as bribery and becomes tradition. By mid-century, corporations sink their teeth in. Candy makers push chocolate bars, costume companies churn out witches and goblins. Hollywood lends its own monsters, Dracula, Frankenstein, the Mummy. Witches no longer creep in fields, they cackle on movie screens. Skeletons no longer terrify, they grin on cardboard cutouts. The old night of fear becomes spectacle, merchandise, neon aisles in October. And yet, every lantern lit on a porch is still a ward. Every mask still carries the echo of disguise. Every knock at the door is still a ritual bargain, even if it's sugared. Hollywood comes knocking on Halloween's door earlier than you'd think. By the 1920s and 30s, silent films already leaned on haunted houses and shadowy figures, setting the mood. But it's the mid-20th century when Halloween fuses itself with horror in a way that can't be undone. In 1931, Dracula and Frankenstein hit theaters. Suddenly monsters have faces, accents, wardrobes. Witches and skeletons that once belonged to folklore and bonfires become celluloid icons, exported in reels across the world. And when those universal monsters meet October, the match is made. Fast forward to 1978. John Carpenter gives the world Halloween, and the holiday takes on a mask of its own. Michael Myers, blank face, kitchen knife, quiet suburbia, at night. The genius wasn't in inventing a killer, it was in pairing him with October 31st. After that, Halloween wasn't just a night of candy, it was a night of terror, scripted for screens. Every jack-o'-lantern on a porch became a flickering warning. Every creak on a dark street was suddenly a slasher's step. Pop culture doesn't just reflect Halloween, it mutates it. By the 1980s, cable television is running horror marathons every October. Haunted houses go from small-town charity events to multi-million-dollar theme park spectacles. Even commercials, candy, costumes, soft drinks lean into shadow and laughter, teaching kids to crave both sugar and fear in the same breath. Halloween becomes a brand, a season, an entire economic engine. And yet when you strip the neon and special effects away, it's still the same formula, a community rehearsing its relationship with the dark. But why do masks make it work? Why does Michael Myers' blank face terrify more than any demon makeup could? Why does a child in a cheap plastic mask make you hesitate for half a second longer than if their face were bare? The answer hides in psychology. Masks strip away identity. A human face tells you intention, friend, foe, neighbor, stranger. A mask says nothing. It's a void where expression should be, a silence where recognition usually lives. That silence is unsettling because your brain craves signals, the twitch of an eyebrow or the curl of a mouth, the micro-expression that tells you if the person in front of you means harm. Cover that, and you've removed the map. Suddenly you are navigating blind. Halloween thrives on this unease. In ancient Samhain, masks weren't about fun. They were camouflage, a way of fooling spirits into ignoring you. In medieval Europe, masks blurred the line between beggar and ghost, neighbor and stranger. In modern America, the mask is both game and menace. A child saying trick or treat in a princess costume is safe. A figure in the same mask lingering too long at the end of a driveway is not. The power of the mask is not in what it shows, but in what it withholds. Think of every horror icon you know: Michael Myers, Jason Voorhees, Ghostface, blank or distorted masks, no expressions, no tells. The terror is that you can't negotiate with them. They might laugh under that mask, they might sneer, they might hesitate, but you'll never see it. You're staring at a void with a body attached. Your imagination does the rest, and imagination is crueler than any face. This is why Halloween, even as it becomes playful, never loses its edge. A holiday about masks will always keep one foot in nightmare. Your neighbor's kid can dress as a vampire and it's cute, but let a stranger stand on your porch in a blank mask without speaking, and suddenly the centuries collapse. You're back at Samhain, fire at your back, wondering if the dead have noticed you. Halloween works because it's honest about the fear beneath civilization. We crave safety, but we also crave rehearsal for danger. That's what horror films, haunted houses, and masks give us, a dress rehearsal for being afraid. We scream in theaters so we won't freeze in the dark. We laugh at costumes so we can live with the knowledge that faces are fragile and death is watching. And so the holiday survives, not because candy tastes good, but because masks still unsettle us. They always have, they always will. Every October 31st, we willingly walk into the one night a year where identity, safety, and certainty are all negotiable. We tell ourselves it's play. But beneath the plastic fangs and sugar highs is the same old truth. Fear disguised as ritual, ritual disguised as fun, fun disguising the fact that we're still whispering to the dark, not me. Pass me by, and modern culture feeds it. Horror films sharpen Halloween's edge. Halloween itself, 1978, giving the night a new mask in Michael Myers. Haunted houses become billion-dollar attractions, industrial-scale fear packaged for ticket sales. Television schedules October marathons of ghosts, vampires, slasher flicks. Even candy commercials trade in shadows. The ritual has become entertainment, but entertainment still circles the same bonfire, fear dressed up so you can laugh while shivering. Halloween doesn't stay American, it spreads. In Tokyo, Shibuya floods with costumed revelers, neon skeletons parading under skyscrapers. In Europe, city squares host mass masquerades. In Mexico, the lines blur between Halloween and Dia de los Muertos, trick-or-treating alongside altars of marigolds. The holiday becomes global, its roots tangled, but its pulse familiar. Wherever it goes, the core remains. Once a year, humans admit the dark is closer than we like to think. So let's pause and strip away the candy wrappers. What do we see? A human instinct as old as hunger. To mark the line between order and chaos, life and death, this world and the next. Halloween is a hinge night, a negotiation with the dark. We don't celebrate it because we like fear. We celebrate it because fear reminds us that we're alive. And so the question remains, would you dance with the dead? Would you stand by the fire, sparks clinging to your skin, knowing eyes are watching in the dark? Would you open the door when the knock comes, not knowing if it's neighbor or spirit? Would you carve a lantern, not to decorate, but to warn? Halloween has never been childish. It has always been about power and survival. The names have changed, the costumes softened, the sugar piled high, but the fire remains. Every October 31st, whether you know it or not, you are standing on the same hillside as the Celts, sparks in your hair, smoke in your lungs, and the same question in your chest. Who is out there, waiting, watching, walking? As the shadows lengthen and the stars begin to whisper, we close the pages of this ancient tale. In the hush of night, truth rests where faith once stood strong. Sleep gently now, wrapped in the echoes of empires long gone. Until next time, when darkness falls and another lullaby of a fallen world begins.